right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to you, wherever you are in this beautiful world. Welcome to our Tuesday evening Inner Circle Live session. I'm your host, Ryan Carthage. We'll be joined shortly by my awesome partner, Mr. Benny Allen. Hope everybody is doing well today. Hope everybody had a good day. We saw some good movement today, some good volatility, as we talked about this morning. Definitely opportunity for volatility this week, which we love. So let's dive in. As always, let's turn off all distractions, grab a pen and paper for notes, and let's participate and engage. And for the courtesy of everybody on the call, please ensure that your mic is muted if you're not asking a question or making a comment. All right. So let's get to it. I'll hop over to trading economics. Donette says, still in profit on some trades. That's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. We talked about it this morning, right? If we just stay committed to the process, and even if you just take the trade setups as you're going through the training, we'll be in good positions. So, trading economics, U.S. stocks rise for the second session. U.S. equities close higher as investors' worries over the health of the global banking system continue to abate ahead of the Federal Reserve decision on Wednesday. First Republic Bank surged more than 30%. And the Spider Regional Banking ETF gained 5% after Treasury Security Janet Yellen said the government is ready to provide further guarantees of deposits if the banking crisis worsens. Right. So we talked about it this morning in the different scenarios around the world and how the central banks came together to provide support. In the United States, secured the swap lines. Secured swap lines to ensure that the other central banks had the liquidity available to support deposits in the event that the runs on the bank continue. So there's support there, but we'll see how things go. We'll see if that support also includes the Fed holding rates or walking back a 25 or 50 basis point hike. That'll be still to see. There's some back and forth from investors as they discuss the potential with the Fed potentially doing just 25 or even pausing. The signal that would give to investors and to Wall Street about the current scenario and their view on inflation, ultimately putting inflation on the back burner, which could have longer term negative impacts on not just the economy, but the world as a whole. So tomorrow will be an interesting day as everybody's looking for it. We talked about this morning, the banks, there was a group of banks that came together to put together $30 billion in support of a bank that was First Republic Bank that's talked about here that gained 30%. Bank of America, Chase, and other banks came together to provide $30 billion in deposits for First Republic banks to help secure their worsening situation. So additionally, guidance was given to them by chief high-ranking individuals from Chase, ultimately letting them know that they should either do rounds of fundraising to increase the number of deposits or look at the potential of selling, similar to what Credit Suisse did. So that conversation is also happening in the background. So there's still some situations occurring with these banks and ultimately their balance sheets and how things are going and the lack of liquidity that they have because of them being over leveraged in different scenarios. So be interesting to see. Additionally, we had Canada inflation rate, right? Canada inflation rate fell more than expected. The annual inflation rate in Canada fell to 5.2% in February, right? The least since January 2022, below the market expectation of 5.4. So in Canada, they chose to hold their rate last month or at their this month at their last meeting, and potentially seeing inflation starting to peak and pull back a little bit. right? So had that happen today, and didn't cause major movement in the market, which isn't completely interesting, seeing as most eyes are pointed toward tomorrow. He also then had a jump in Japan shares as post holiday trading kicks in, and they're able to get some volatility there. So tons happening there. Let's hop over to the calendar. And here on the calendar, we have right the CPI data coming out of Canada, the 0.4. And I didn't get a chance to read the notes on President Lagarde, but she did speak today as well, along with Treasury Yellen, which we talked about. Tomorrow morning at 3 a.m., we got CPI coming in for the pound. That will also be interesting to see what the UK decides to do. They've been kind of quiet as of late, so it'll be interesting to see there. President Lagarde then comes to the microphone again at 4:45 a.m. And then tomorrow afternoon, we got FOMC statement, which everybody's watching. So that's where we sit from a fundamental perspective. Do we have any questions?
No.
Cool deal. All right, so let's hop over to the chart. We'll take a look at the dollar index first. We'll go through some of the setups that we posted in the Discord today. We'll get an update on some of the setups that we already have running. Then, if we have time at the end, we'll take a look at anything that you guys have your eyes on. All right. So, DXY we go. All right. So here on the dollar index, this is the 4-hour chart. This is that pullback we've been watching. Right. Got our ABCD moves on the way down, hovering around the 618 retracement. We did break this previous daily support level. Right. Push down, and now we're just stalling here. So it'll be interesting to see if we get some additional pushes to the downside and stay below that daily support level and come into this next level at 12,768. All right. If we get that push down, we'll see if we are able to stay inside the AB boundary here on the 4. Okay. So we'll definitely keep our eyes peeled there. And that's all obviously going to hinge on Fed Chair Powell and what happens. So we could see some things transpire overnight, early in the morning, on the on the session at 2:30, right? Could potentially get some movement there early, and then see things reverse course as the day goes on. So, but that is the DXY hovering around this daily, was support, now serving as a bit of resistance here. So we'll continue to watch that there. All right. And with that, your dollar pairs are kind of hovering as well. So it'll be interesting to see how those move. Let's take a look at this Euro CAD. That was the most recent one that we posted. We'll go from top down. From a weekly let's go to the monthly. Right, from a monthly perspective, price has been pushing to the upside. Right, this is our active AB boundary on the monthly. We know the 80-20 scenario played out and it's still pushing up. So we're coming into that 786 retracement level on the monthly time frame. On the weekly, right, coming into 786 retracement level there as well. We broke above this previous weekly resistance level, right? Held both of those areas, and now we're continuing to press to the upside. So now we want to see, as we're coming into these higher levels, previous zone of consolidation right here, right? As we're pushing back into the zone, we want to see, do we get a reaction? Right? Do we get a reaction here? And potentially a pullback, or does price continue to rise? All right. Now, with President Lagarde coming to the mic tomorrow, she could also impact how this moves as well. Right. If she gives any hints about the ECB pausing in the future or a more dovish tone, we could see some changes there. But I think all of this, everything is really, really going to hinge on tomorrow afternoon. So come down to the daily time frame, and this is where we sit, just shy of that 118 level. We tried to push up through this daily level at 147.47, right? Tons of bullish action here, but we paused, right? Got a shallow retracement. Now we want to see, are we able to stay below this level, right? With today's candle, do we get this push back down to the downside and we stay below, or do we continue to rise? Okay. If we continue to rise, we might get a retest of the weekly and then a push to the upside. So there's a little bit to watch here as price kind of moves sideways with top of the range, bottom of the range. Now we're back to the top and we'll see what transpires there. So as we continue pushing down to the 4, we had a fresh AB boundary here on the 4, right? We got a 50% retracement. Price came back to the high. And again, that daily level, we were not able to stay above, and now we're just trekking to the side. All right. So we got a sideways push there. So it'll be interesting to see how this one transpires if we get this double top scenario and then a deeper push to the downside. Okay. As we continue dropping, here's the 1 hour. And what I was looking for on the 1 hour is price to come back below, right? Clear the D extension, give us a swing high, and stay below this daily level, which price did, right? So now the question is, are we able to continue below that level? Okay. Right now we're holding, and we'll see how this retracement goes here, right? But this is one look off a fresh AB boundary, potential retracement coming here, even if it is just a short-term deal to that 618 retracement level. Okay. So that's one look. The look I posted in the Discord was off the 15-minute, right? So we come down to the 15, and we're hovering in that 118, 127 zone, right? Shallow retracement, pushed into the 118, 127 zone, started to break down, and now we're just hovering sideways, right? So we haven't had a cloud twist just yet here on the 15. Okay, so we can wait to see if you get that, right? If you trade off the 15-minute time frame and see if we get prices start to break down. Okay, TP levels there, right? So there's an opportunity for us. If you trade on the 5, right, drop down to the 5-minute for your entry, we're still just pressing sideways here. Okay, we're pressing sideways here. For me, I took it sheerly off of the 118, 127 zone in line with that daily resistance level. That was the confirmation that I utilized in this particular scenario. We came back below that level. I wanted to see a little bit more of a pullback to retest that level, which we got. And then my entry got initiated there off of a limit order. So we're looking to see prices trying to break down now, break below that level. We got the bearish cloud ahead here. I believe that's bearish. That's a bullish cloud. Let's see. Yeah, bullish cloud ahead still. So we'll still be patient there, right? But that's the move that we're looking for ultimately. In that, if at least nothing else, just a retracement to come back and retest this 146,383. All right. So at the minimum, we're looking at this move back to the downside to give us that 115 pips to the 618. You got a little bit deeper to that weekly support level. All right. So back down to that level, you can 132 pips to the downside. Okay, so we'll watch that closely to see how that one moves through. Do we have any questions on the Euro CAD? Nope.
No.
Sweet. Let's take a look at this CAD Swiss, right? We've got a few of these CAD pairs and crosses out here. So the CAD Swiss, obviously we've been watching for a while. We talked about it this morning, right? Still playing in this 118, 127 zone off the daily time frame, right? Getting a little bit of a pullback now, right? On the 4, we also got an 80-20 scenario with that price that pushed down. And this morning we said we wanted to see this pullback occur. Okay. So here on the 1, this is what we looked at. Here was that retracement, right? Didn't play the retracement here. We didn't push into the 118, 127 zone for the 80-20, but we got price to push down to that 618 level, which we'd like to see, right? And I said, if we get that retracement, I'll look for an entry on that one. I'll take an entry on that one for price to push back to the upside, ultimately being more bullish here on these CAD pairs. Yes, this was a previous level from the weekly. From here, right? We broke that level. We came back to it, and now we're just stalling. So it will be interesting to see if we're able to break back above that weekly level and continue to rise, right? So that is something for us to watch. But we also have to remember that this low that we created here, just a retest of that COVID low, right? So this is a powerful level here. So I'm looking for a price to continue to rise off that low, right? Mally, what's up? Looking for price to rise off that low just as it did here, right? So that's what I'm looking for, and that kind of gave me the confidence to be able to take that initial trade as we come down to the one, right, off of that push into that 118 and 127 zone on the daily, right? So we got the push here, beautiful retracement, right? And this is that opportunity that we talk about when we talk about scaling into the trade, right? Adding positions as price moves in our favor. This is that scenario right here, right? So we look for the same thing when you talk about this morning, right? The methodology and the strategy that we teach and that we utilize, it's consistent. It will never change, right? The sweet spots will always be the same. And this is an example of that, right? We like to trade the counter trend moves, but we also can take the with the trend moves as well when price comes into our sweet spot, right? So price pushed down into the zone. This green line here is my entry, right? So I have two entries now on this pair. And as price continues to push in my favor, right, I have two pairs running. I mean, two entries running, right? Uh, bring that down. That original entry, right? Once we get to the D extension, that'll be 239 pips to the upside, 240 pips to the upside. That entry, 166 pips, right? So just off that, we're over 400-ish, 400, 500 pips to the upside, right? With two positions on this one pair with more movement to the upside to go, right? So longer term swings, but beautiful opportunities, like I said, to compound, right? The compounding effect is real. It's real once you utilize it, okay? So that was the entry there. Price is just ranging right now. So utilize your confirmations that you use, right? And even if you drop down to the 15-minute time frame and take a look and look for your entry, here you had it here on the 15, right? This is your AB boundary. Price pressed to the downside, came into that 618 retracement zone on the 15 as well. All right. So tons of confirmation here on this retracement. Now, if you're waiting on those confirmations, just wait for it. Right. You can drop your cloud on like so. Right. And wait for the cloud break. Okay. Or if you run your trend lines to the downside and you trade off the trend line break, you can do that. We got ranging action here, so we want to move that to the outermost point, right? Only time we adjust that trend line is in these scenarios where we have price pressing to the side, right? We don't want consolidation through the trend line. That's where you get the bounce back and forth. We want a nice, clean, bullish push and break of that trend line. So we'll adjust it to the outermost point here, and we'll ultimately combine that with, right, this is that resistance level there, right? So if we get a nice bullish candle break like this, that'll be your opportunity for that entry there, right? So that's what we look for in these trend line breaks when you're in these zones of consolidation, right? You want to see that breakout to the upside in this particular scenario. Okay, so that's if you're looking at on the 15-minute time frame. So that's the CAD Swiss. That's that entry that we talked about this morning. Yeah. So looking for more bullish action there. Do we have any questions on the CAD Swiss? No. Okay. Cool deal. Over to the pound CAD on the 4. I do have a decent amount of CAD exposure in these scenarios, so I'll continue to monitor that. And I'm trading small here, so not over leveraged in any scenario, which you definitely want to ensure. But we'll walk through this all the way. So on the monthly time frame, we broke through these levels, right? This was a previous monthly support level here. We broke down, came back, and we retested, right? So this is a monthly resistance level here. Okay. Came back and retested that level, previous consolidation that we broke out of. Does this serve as resistance is the question, right? Strong bullish candle now, right? For the month of March, pushing to the upside with a couple weeks left, well, a week and a half or so left. As we move down to the weekly, you see that a little bit more closely, right? And I have a weekly resistance level there. And we have some indecision so far this week. Push up, push down, in between. So this is what we're looking to see, is if we get price to turn over and start making its way. And as we come down to this daily time frame, we've been hovering here in this range, right? In this B boundary 38.2 retracement range, right? So now we want to watch to see, again, does price turn back over? This is a previous daily resistance level here. Does price turn back over and make its way down? All right. Do we get a deeper retracement? Here's the question. Down to the 4. Here we have our 80-20 scenario. Shallow retracement, didn't get to that 382. Price pushed up just with that 118 level there. Okay. So on this one, I have my stop above that weekly resistance level, 120 pips, right? Now we want to see, do we break back below this daily level? Daily resistance here. Do we get a breakdown and start making our way to the downside? All right, so this is a longer term scenario, right? But we could make our way down like this, right? If we start breaking these daily levels, then that ultimately leads to these higher time frames, right? And price moving to the downside. I don't have a fib here on the weekly, but if we run that fib off the low, right, we're still in the 80-20 scenario on the weekly time frame as well. Didn't get to the 382 here. Almost a double top scenario with that weekly resistance level. So we could potentially be in for a longer term move, right? If oil starts to pick up some steam, right? If we get some a little bit of continuity coming out of Canada, right? We could see a longer term scenario here where price really starts to move and make its way to the downside, right? Obviously, we got to stay below that weekly level in order for that to happen, right? But back to that weekly support level, looking at 659 pips. Okay, so as we come back here to the 4, where we're looking at this potential scenario, right? This is what that looks like getting back to that weekly support. It means we take out this AB boundary here on its way down. So we got a little bit of work to do, right? Pound CPI data will be interesting tomorrow, right? If that comes in more dovish on the slowing down of inflation, right? We could see this start making its way to the downside. All right. So that inflation data tomorrow morning will be key also. And as we come down to the 1, right, we also have 80-20 scenario on the 1 hour time frame as well. Okay. 80-20 scenario here also. Shallow retracement. Didn't get to that 382. Pushed into the 118 level. Okay. So now we're looking for a break back below and this continuation short. Something like that, right? So that's the opportunity there. Shorter term scenario and from a longer term view, right? From a weekly, daily, 4-hour view, a longer term, more potential to the downside if we get things moving in our favor here. All right. So questions on the pound CAD, right? We got a lot of potential here. Some of these that we'll get to are already on the move, like the Euro NZD. And some of them are just starting to set up. And we got some key data coming in over the next couple of days that'll give us a catalyst in one direction or the other, right? We'll either be right or we'll be wrong. And then we'll be able to learn and adjust from there. Okay. No questions on the pound CAD. Cool deal.
Oh,
Aussie Swiss. I didn't get a chance to get back to this one, but let's take a look at it. So Aussie Swiss, right? It didn't give us the pullback. It didn't give me the pullback that I was looking for. So no biggie. But price is moving to the downside clearly, right? Broke this previous weekly level, came back to retest that zone. Strong bearish action today. All right. We had meeting minutes come out of Australia yesterday. And in those meeting minutes, they talked about potential of pausing, right? Did Reserve Bank of Australia. So that talk of pausing their rate hikes in their previous meeting, that's what caused this breakdown here, right? And you see ultimately a breakdown in a lot of those Aussie pairs. That Aussie weakness was caused by those meeting notes, right? So now we're getting a pullback here, so you can take back some of that bearish action, and then see if we get price to turn back over and continue this move to the downside. Here on the 4, see that strong push to the downside. I was looking for a retest of this weekly level before we broke down. Didn't quite get it, and that's cool, right? Wicked at 382, pushed into the 118 zone, and then we broke down. Okay. So as we get down to the 1, this is where we looked at it. And I was looking for a pullback here, right? Looking for a pullback to give me a high price to get short. Didn't quite get it, right? Shallow retracement, 118 to 127 zone. Got that push. And technically, we did. We got a wick here at that 382 level, hit our TP1, right? So if anybody was in this off of a trend line break or a cloud break, right, one of these higher levels, that was a beautiful move to the downside, right? 101 pips down. Okay. So now we just wait to see, right? Because it could be more potential coming, right? After a pullback happens, we could have more bearish action heading to the daily D extension here at 58,774, 618 retracement, right? So that's the matching D extension off the daily. Still some work to do. Okay. Still some work to do. So as we come down to the 15, right? Here was that fib, that form that we mapped in, and we're looking for that retracement off that AB boundary that didn't occur. So now this is where we are on the 15. We're getting that pullback now. So let's see how deep this retracement goes, right? We could take out the A on this 15-minute if we get a break above to ultimately come back and retest. Not sure. We'll see. That'll be a large move to happen, but it could. So we'll watch overnight to see if we get a nice deep retracement to give us that high price, and then see if we get an opportunity to get short on this one, either overnight or early morning. Again, the longer term view of this push into the downside. Right? You guys follow me on this one?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So that's what I'm looking at on this one. Sitting tight, sitting on my hands, and we'll see what happens. And honestly, because of where it is, I may not take it unless it comes back and retest that weekly level. All right. I really want to see that high price. In order to get short on this one, right? Because I really like just trading the 80-20 scenarios unless it's a compounding scenario like that CAD Swiss, right? So I sit and wait on these. So this might be one that I don't take, right? I missed it here, already moved, right? So this will likely be one that I don't take unless price pushes to the upside on the 15 and gives me an 80-20 scenario there, right? But that's a big bet. So, but watch it if it meets your rules on the retracements on any of the time frames, right? Definitely pull the trigger, manage your risk, and allow the market to do what it does. Okay. So just want to keep your eyes on, right? But it's already moving in our favor. It's been a beautiful scenario so far, with some potential to go. All right. That is the Aussie Swiss. That Euro NZD, let's take a look at it. It was on the move and pushed into that daily level. This was a beautiful scenario off the 4. All right. Beautiful scenario here off the 4. Benny posted this one yesterday. 618 retracement, double bottom. Beautiful push. Right. Beautiful push off the low. Move 400 pips. Move 400 pips. All right. So we'll look for a retracement and then see if we get a continuation. right? Matching the extension is here. Matching the extension is here at 77,137, right? So we'll continue to monitor that one. Continue to manage your trade if you're in it. It was definitely a beautiful scenario, right? So already this would technically be TP1, TP2 in that 118, 127 zone, and TP3 at that Jeremy 240 to the upside. That's a beautiful thing, man. Great work. Great work. All right. Continue to manage it. All right. But like I was saying, right, if you are able, if you just take the trade setups that we have as you're going through the training, right, you're able to make some profit here, man. You're able to make some profit, right? So we got beautiful scenarios, beautiful opportunities. Those trade setups are there. So that's the Euro NZD. And then the NZD Swiss. This was another one. NZD Swissy on the 1 hour. Christine, take that NZD dollar to the downside. Beautiful scenario there. NZD Swiss. And that was the play there. Still got some room to move, right? This was the setup, 618 retracement. Push down, right? Push down. So off the entry, up 89 pips. At its lowest point, you had over 100 to the downside. That matching the extension, you got a little bit to go. Looking at over 250 pips to the downside once this one finishes out. All right. So still got some room to go. We could get a retracement to occur here, right? These Swissies could give us some retracement before we get the continuation on those. Okay. So that was another beautiful setup there. And the Swiss yen is another. On the Swiss yen, it's been interesting, right? We come back to the weekly. Let me clean this up a little bit. Those shouldn't be there. There we go. Right. So we pressed back into this weekly level after we broke through it here. On the weekly time frame, we got this 80-20. Shallow retracement, 118, 127. Right. So we've just been ranging for the most part. We pushed back up into this weekly level that we broke through. Strong bearish move. Now we're taking back some of that bearish move. Okay. And then we want to see if we get price to turn over and continue that move to the downside to finish out this 80-20. Right. So as we're bouncing now, we come to the daily. And here we had another 80-20 scenario on the daily. Shallow retracement, 118 level. And this was that breakdown. So we came into the low. And last week, we were looking at a potential retracement earlier in this move that we didn't get. Okay. So now what we're looking at is either one of two things, right? One of two things. Either a pushback up and a retest of this daily level that we broke through, which is likely, right? Or long term, because we know fundamentally the yen is still the yen, and they've stated that they won't be changing their monetary policy anytime soon. If we break back above this daily level, right, and get back to this 147,572, we could be headed higher, 150, right? Make new all-time, well, get back to the all-time high levels. Right. So we'll have to watch this to see how price responds in this zone here. Right. How price responds in this zone here as we continue this retracement to the upside. All right. So coming down to the 4 hour, this is the fib that we're playing. 80-20 scenario. Okay. Consolidation. Then we got the push. Right. We could be in for a pullback, come back to retest. Top of that consolidation zone there, and then see if we get a continuation to the upside. All right, in the short term, right, and then we'll monitor as we get deeper into the zone. Coming down through the time frames, here's the fib running to the upside. All right, 618 retracement. We got that D extension hit finally. So now we talked about this one this morning, right? Benny mentioned it. Look for that swing high to form, and then we'll look for a retracement. Right, on this retracement could then be in for an opportunity to add to this trade also. I didn't enter this one on Smart Trader. I have this one on my other account, but that could be an opportunity once that swing high forms. Okay, if that forms there, 50%, 618 in conjunction with the cloud. It could be an opportunity to get back long there. Okay. So we'll see what happens as the days move on. But we saw, right, in trading economics, Japanese yen shares jump. So we'll see if they get a pullback in some of that action, which would then be a catalyst for a pullback on the currency. Okay. So that's the 1 hour time frame. Then if you drop to the 15, you're hovering in this 118, 127 zone right now in the 15. Okay. And again, that 618 retracement level down here and that retest of the cloud. So watch this one closely for an intraday play. Right. If we don't get to that D extension, if we hover a bit more and we're able to break back below the cloud here, we could be headed for at least a TP1, potentially TP2 on this. Right. So here's the setup here. And we just want to wait for our confirmations, right? Boom. Okay. So this one I'd be really, really patient on just because it is the yen. And you see it's already trying to push to the upside more, right? So be really patient if you're going to play this counter trend move. Wait for all your confirmations on that reversal because the potential that we don't get it. Okay. So be patient there. But that's the Swiss yen. All right. Questions on the Swiss yen? No?
Oh,
Cool deal. What's up, everybody that just joined us? Welcome to the session. Glad to have you. All right, cool deal. Let's CAD yen is the last one. We talked about this one this morning. And here's the deal. It's CAD yen. We're hovering in this 118, 127 zone, right? Again, another 80-20 scenario, right? Came back down, didn't quite get to the weekly support level, but we started to retest the zone a bit, right? So at worst case scenario, we're looking at a range play here. Bottom of the range, back to the top of the range. Okay. If we get back to the top of the range, that's 500 pips to the upside. Okay. So at worst case, right? If we go further than that, when we get to that 382, if the CAD starts to gain some strength, which if we look at these CAD crosses and these CAD pairs, all of them are starting to come into alignment at key zones. So that's something that is a trigger in my mind. All right, we got key levels, daily, weekly, monthly support. And we also have either B boundaries or 118, 127 zones. Right. And in some cases, right, that EuroCAD, you got a 786 retracement level on a weekly and a monthly time frame. So they're all coming into key zones all at the same time. So I got my eyes on these to see if we start to get some movement. Okay. So we got a lot of potential from a swing perspective. And as we drop down, there's potential from a shorter time frame perspective as well. All right. So once this daily candle closes, we'll have that official swing low and that daily support there. That isn't another piece of confirmation. All right, we got a support level. Now we could really be in for another push to the upside. Coming down to the 4, right? And this is what that looks like. Whoops. This is what that looks like here. We got a deep retracement, but again, the scenario is we're not able to break out. Okay, not able to break out. So looking for the push higher. Okay. Down to our 1. And here's the look here on the 1. We got a 50% retracement just shy of testing that daily support level. And then we got the push. Right? So my thought process on it, right? Bottom of the range, potentially moving back to the top. Yen fundamentally is weak. Just had some recent conversations. Just shy of a daily support. Just shy of a 618 retracement. I took the entry here. Right? We got a beautiful pullback. And now we're pushing back to the upside. Okay. Coming down to the 15. There's a look a little bit closer. Okay, so on this one, be patient. If you're not in it, wait for that D extension to get hit and let it reset. All right. Once we get a reset, then we can get a nice gauge on the entry off of a potential 618 retracement or deeper if we're able to get that breakdown. Okay, if we're able to get that pullback. So this is one that's already on the go, right? But off that entry, we're up 93 pips. Okay. So got some things in play, got some things in movement. The green arrow. So I opened a Forex.com account and I added the broker to Smart Trader. And so the green arrows are where my entry is. Yeah, the green arrows are where my entry is. So this is the day that I entered, and then right, the green line is the actual entry itself. Okay, and then the red line down here is my stop loss. All right. Questions on the CAD yen? No.
So you can link your Forex.com to that, or that's part of Smart Trader?
Yeah, you can. So if you go in here, you can add your broker. Forex.com is one of the brokers that manage accounts, right? And you can add your broker in here. They only have a certain list of brokers that they've partnered with. So you have to go through the list and see if you have a Forex.com account, you can add that in there and you can just place your trades here in Smart Trader. And so me and Benny talked about it, and I wanted to do it so that as we're taking these trades live and managing these accounts, right? I wanted to be able to show these live and we can monitor these accounts together. So, so we decided to do it that way. Yep.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're absolutely welcome. You're absolutely welcome. Got a question on YouTube about utilizing the strategy without Smart Trader. Yes, you can. You have to learn how to draw your fibs, right? The way that folks are traditionally taught to draw your fibs, you miss out on a lot of the movement, right? So it's really, really key that you understand the Fibonacci sequence and how to draw them properly. But yeah, you can definitely do it in TradingView. It's just more manual, right? We were able to utilize the smart technology here with the smart fibs that give us these fibs as they move, and it speeds up our time a little bit, makes things a little bit easier for us and less manual. But you can absolutely do that. You can absolutely use use TradingView and implement the methodology that we teach, right? Not only is it compatible with with currency, but you also you can trade any asset class, right? You want to trade crypto, you can trade stocks, you can trade bonds, you can trade futures, options, whatever you want with the methodology, right? But it's really understanding support, resistance, and the Fibonacci sequence and how it actually works. Yeah, so but definitely possible, hey, Parker. Appreciate that, right? If you want to join the family, definitely come join us. The forextraderoom.com/membership. All right, you can come join us and go through our training. We got a training takes people from the beginning all the way through all the details of the methodology, and you can join us on the other side and be able to ask questions live and get feedback on your charts also. So, Michelle, how to get to the back office? You can go to the forextraderoom.com and let me do this. I'll send you this link. All right, this is the community here, but I'll post this link in the chat. And if you go to this link, then it'll prompt you to log in.
Thank you so much.
All right. When you log in, you'll want to click on your little profile here and then go to my library. Right. Excellent. And you'll be able to see everything that's available to you. Right. And the training is here under the Inner Circle subscription.
Excellent.
Right. And you'll be able to go through those. Okay. You can also click on, go back. You can also click on your dashboard. Right. And it'll take you to that same page. Okay. So that's what it is. Great questions. Appreciate you. All right. So those are the setups that we got running. Those are the ones that we've been looking at and watching. Now you're very welcome. If you have any other issues, Michelle, shoot us an email at the forextraderoom@gmail.com, and we can get some answers for you. All right. So those are the pairs that I got my eyes on that I have running. Want to go through those and get updates on them. Let's take a look at the euro dollar, see where that sits. We'll take a look at the pound dollar and the Aussie dollar as well. Just to get an idea of where they are coming into tomorrow. So daily, we pushed back up into that daily resistance level, right? So we're hovering at this 50% retracement zone, right? Push back up, and now we're pulling back away from it. So the question is going to be what happens tomorrow and what reaction we get, all right? You got pound CPI coming in, and you got the Fed news. So that's going to be interesting to watch to see how that one moves. But we're just hovering at this resistance level now, right? And here's the range that we're playing in. Okay, so we have some strong bearish action today in favor of the dollar, but we know the dollar's ranging. Okay, so we're going to watch this to see. We said right off that low, we wanted to see price push back up into that zone, and it happened. Right, so now we're going to be patient and wait for tomorrow to see what transpires. Come here on the one, and we got that fresh AB boundary that we wanted, and we got the move down. Right, I don't trade the B boundaries, but it's there. So this was an opportunity if you trade the B boundaries off of that resistance level, right? 100 pips to the downside. Beautiful move on an intraday play, right? But it gave us what we're looking for, that push up to that daily resistance level, okay? And now it's just being patient. I was just being patient and wait to see what happens tomorrow. As you come down to your 15, right? You had an 80-20 scenario here on the 15 also, okay? So now we're getting a pullback. So we'll see if we get a spike to the upside, give us a high price potentially, and then it might be an opportunity to get short. Okay. Might be an opportunity to get short. Okay. So tomorrow's going to be interesting, right? Could be a lot of movement here with the CPI first and then the rate decision second. But we're sitting at high prices overall, right? From a longer term perspective, we're sitting at high prices. Okay. So want to see how things move. And what the reaction is to the announcement tomorrow, and the press conference, right? That's going to give us a lot of information. They're going to talk about in the press conference, not only their decision, but you're going to hear them talk about, or you potentially could hear them talk about, the banking crisis, right? How they feel about it. We see, right, Janet Yellen coming out talking about how they've made sure liquidity is there for the banks. The question is, how much liquidity can they offer, and how will that impact inflation and other things? But they'll talk about that. You could also hear them talk about the quantitative easing process, right? And the slowing down of the printing of money that they've been doing for quite some time, and how that plays into them providing more liquidity to the banks. Right? Because that also is going to play into the inflation conversation and how that looks from an inflationary standpoint. So all that's going to be conversation in what investors are looking for, and that will give us some interesting reactions. So we want to be patient and allow all of that to play out, right? But that's where we are on the pound dollar. Beautiful move to the downside. Let's see if we're able to stay below that daily resistance level. Any questions on the pound dollar? No? Give me 1 second. All right. Membership. Cool deal. Yeah, definitely, Parker. Like I said, come join us and get some feedback. So that's where we are. That's where we are on the pound dollar. So take a look at the euro dollar. All right. So euro dollar still sitting at high prices as well. Weekly time frame, 80-20 scenario. Shallow retracement 118, 127. It's trying to play out for us, right? So now again, we're back at this key level. Okay, we're back at this key level. Well, I'll add this one in just for safekeeping, right? But we're back at this key level, and we want to see. We want to see if we're able to stay below. We want to see if we're able to stay below. All right. So let's take this out. We're just going to watch this one here. Okay. Trying to pull back a little bit off that 107 level, come down to the daily. And this is that look. This is that wick. And then this is that retest of that daily level that we've just been hovering in this range. Okay. Just hovering in that range. So we're going to watch closely to see what happens. A lot of bullish action here. We want to see if we either get follow through or break down a continuation lower. Okay. On the 4, deep retracement here on the 4. Okay. So from a risk to reward perspective, right? Above the A is 37 pips, matching D extension. Whoops, got a lot of lines happening there. Matching D extension to the 118 level, you got 293. So even off of that, right? Just trading deep retracements, those C to D moves, there's a potential opportunity there. Okay. There's a potential opportunity. So we'll watch it though, because we could get a push to the upside, right? Could get a potential spike tomorrow, spike and then push down, or spike and follow through. So we'll have to watch it closely to see what transpires. Okay. We come down to the 1, and that's the move off the low. That's the move to the low, right? Took out the A. Boom. Now let's run the fib to the upside. Boom. AB boundary. Okay. So again, we'll watch this close because tomorrow, if we get a spike to the upside, we could push into that 118, 127 zone. And then an immediate move back down to the downside. Okay. So we could see something like that, a temporary push to the upside and a push down, right? If we get a strong bullish close above on the 4, on the daily, something like that, then we'll look for that continuation. But if we get price to push up with a lot of wicks and a lot of hesitation here, and then we get some bullish talk out of Jay Powell, right? We'll see that move back to the downside, right? If he talks anything about we're going to stay firm and really make sure that we're addressing inflation first, even with the banking scenario, we could see some major movement in the dollar, right? Or if they surprise folks, because you got the CME, the percentage of investors, they're betting, I believe it's like 38%, believe that the Fed is gonna pause rates. 38% are saying the Fed is going to pause rates, right? And you have a small percentage saying they could go 50%, and then the rest are saying the likely stick with 25. Okay. Very, very minute percentage, 1-2% saying that they could decrease rates, which I think is highly unlikely with the current scenario. But 25, I think 50 is still in range. They may not do it because of the banking scenario, but they could have a hawkish tone during the conversation. So we'll have to watch that to see. But if you get anything hawkish coming out of Jay Powell, we could see the bottom fall out of this one. All right. That's the euro dollar. That's where it sits. Any questions there?
Nope.
No? All right.
Can you please go back to the 4 hours?
Yeah. Fib running off the high here. That's your AB boundary.
If you run it off the low, what do we get?
Off this one here. Look at there, Mally. I see you. That's a lot of confirmation there, right? A lot of confluence. I like that look.
And also the low of down like 9.5. Yeah, somewhere around there. Mm-hmm.
So here off that low, right, you got an 8.6 retracement there.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at.
Yeah. I thought so. Two scenarios, right? If the Fed comes in dovish, right, and they're talking potential slowdowns or we're going to monitor the banking crisis closely and ensure that we don't top that over, right? We could see this break in continuation, right? I appreciate this perspective because if we get that break and retest, something like this, right? And that level then holds, then yeah, we could definitely be in for that ride to the upside in favor of the euro, right? So those are two scenarios, right? You got a deep retracement on the sub fibs to the downside, and then you have on this fib here an 80-20 scenario. So three different looks at it, right? Three different looks. So
Yeah, I got in the triple bottom right there.
yep, got a triple bottom there as well, right?
Yeah,
Key level.
stop loss below the A.
Say it again.
My stop loss like right there below the A.
Below the A. So your bias is more long on this one than short.
Yeah.
Okay. I dig it. I definitely dig it. We will see how things go. Tomorrow could definitely be some fireworks in either direction. So beautiful thing. Great work, Mally. Great work. Good to see you. Ain't seen you in a minute.
I mean, the reason why I got in, I just because of the risk management, based on the R for R going long. So
yeah, looking at that stop there, you got 40, 45 pips ish. Yeah. Beautiful move to the upside there. I dig it. Beautiful risk to reward scenario. Absolutely. And even off of where you are, right? At 40 pips stop loss, you're already up 300 pips. All right. So yeah, can't pass it up. It's a beautiful scenario. Right. And up until last week, the ECB was relatively hawkish. You know what I mean? And they're still more hawkish than dovish, but she took a step back. You know, we'll watch the data, but so that made sense, right? And you had somewhat of a range here as well. So bottom of the range to the top of the range. So you had a lot of confluence at the support level for that long play, right? So it all makes sense. That's great work, man. Great work. Any other thoughts or questions on the euro?
no.
Nope. All right, let's take a look at this Aussie dollar. And then we will wrap things up. So this is going to be interesting, right? So here on the daily, push down, AB boundary in line with that daily support. We're starting to get a bit of a retracement here, right? We got some weakness in the Aussie, as we know, but ultimately it's looking more like a range in the short term, just with price pushing sideways here. Okay. But fresh AB boundary nonetheless. Less than a 382 also, right? So that puts, go back. That puts this 118, 127 zone potentially in play, right? If we get a push to the downside into that level, maybe even down to that 63852 daily support. So come to the 4, and you got an 80-20 scenario already, right? So tomorrow's going to be key. Right? Because if they come in dovish, you'll see your commodity currencies and more risk assets start to gain some strength. Okay. So if those risk assets gain some strength, you'll see this Aussie start to push to the upside, and you could see this 80-20 scenario play out. Right. So we'll watch that. And see how things transpire there. But that's an 80-20 scenario that's trying to make its way to the upside. Down on your 1, that's your look there. You got a 786 retracement here. Okay. Matching the extension 67485 if we get that break back up. Okay. So interesting scenarios here. So we'll watch to see that daily level will be key. With these two daily levels on the 4-hour will be key, right? If we push to the upside, what happens then? That'll be a 382 on the daily time frame, right? So some things to watch, just some different perspectives. It's kind of in the middle right now. So a lot of these dollar pairs I'm just sitting and watching until we get that data tomorrow. Questions on the Aussie dollar?
Oh,
Nope. Cool day. Actually, I'm gonna look at one more, the dollar Swiss. Dollar Swiss. So here on the dollar Swiss, we were looking at this one to the downside, right? And this is on the 1 hour. Didn't get to the D extension, but started to break back down, right? Started to break back down. So we're pushing to the downside here coming into tomorrow. So either we'll get a low price to then be able to get long, right? Well, I'll go back to the daily and the 4 hour in a second, but either we could get a low price to get long, or low price to get long, something like that. Or overnight, we get a little bit of a pullback. Oops. Back that out. Overnight, we get a little bit of a pullback and we come more to a high price and then see price fall, right? So two potentially different scenarios here. Okay. Potentially, we'll see. But just thinking with just looking at the chart as it is in the price action there, right? Two scenarios in the short term. So let's take this out. Let's go back to the daily and the 4 and see where price lives. Because in overall, we were pushing bullish off the daily, right? Pushing bullish off the daily. 118, 127 zone, weekly support. Got to the daily resistance level. Created a new daily resistance level here. We'll make that shift, right? Press back down. Now we got a double bottom scenario here. Strong bullish action. Pull back, take back at least 60%, 50 to 60% of the bullish move. So this is one we're going to watch closely as well. See if we stay within that candle and push back to the upside. All right, come down to the 4. A couple different ways to look at it in the range here. Excuse me. So we know on the daily we got the 80-20 scenario still, but we've been caught in this range for a bit. So this is the AB boundary off the top of the range to the bottom. There was just strong bullish action, right? The strong 2 candles, 3 candles that we saw in the 4 hour. That's the push up. And then here's the retracement, right? So we could be in for a bottom of the range to the top of the range move, right? And this is just a pullback for that lower, higher low, and then a continuation up, right? If, again, Fed is bullish, right? Now, the other way to look at this is running the fib off the low. Boom. Right? So now we can gauge it this way. If we stay inside that A boundary, low price, potential buying opportunity on the 4. Boom. Back to the top of that range. And then we'll reassess once we get to that 94, 343 level for a zone. Right. So that's on your 4. Those are 2 ways to look at it. If you look at it from the top of the range to the bottom, if you're bearish on the dollar, right, that'll be more of your view. Right. If you're bullish on the dollar, then this will be more of your view. Right. Run the fib off the low to the high. Okay. So we drop down to the 1. Look at the most recent price action, and there it is. Just missed that D extension. Just barely missed the D extension. Now we're pushing down for a deeper retracement. Okay. So going to watch this one too. If we come back down into the sweet spot, we managed to get down here. Excuse me. We get down here. I'm going to like that opportunity long. All right. So that's what I'll be looking for here is what that price action looks like and what the response is. Okay. But if we get down into this sweet spot, 618, 786, 86 retracement, yeah, I'll be looking for the long opportunity there. Okay. So we'll watch and see. We'll watch and see. Questions on the dollar Swiss or anything that we covered this evening?
no.
Nope. All right. All right. I appreciate you good people hanging in there with me this evening. And those on YouTube, we appreciate you chiming in. Continue to dig in, continue to be patient, continue to manage your risk. All right. Continue to manage your risk. That's extremely important. So We'll be back at it tomorrow morning, 6:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for the pre-New York session. You all have a great evening or a great morning if you are overseas. We'll talk to you soon. Peace.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.